Namaste, hearty, welcome. Yes, keep coming. Please do like. Yeah, this is the first time we are doing it in the night, and this show is really special. Yeah, please do like, please do share. Yes, keep a pen and paper handy, follow the instructions. I'm sure there is so much for each one of us to learn tonight. Yes, keep coming, people. Please do share the link. Yeah, keep coming, keep coming. Okay, I'll pull your comments onto the screen shortly. Yeah, you continue typing in the YouTube comments section. Well, very good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome to 4T, the Tax Titans Talk. Once again, I'm Nandakumar, founder of iLead Tax Group, and it gives me immense pleasure to welcome all our students, working professionals, entrepreneurs, and global viewers joining us today. 40 is not just a talk show, it's a leadership platform where we bring real industry leaders, partners, managing directors, CFOs, and global tax heads so that our students and professionals can learn directly from their live experience. So, not just, from textbooks. And today's session is extra special. This is our first 40 episode of 2026. And for the first time ever, we are hosting two tax titans together in one stage. Yeah, you can call them as tax and accounting titans. So, the tax and accounting profession is evolving very rapidly. Globalization, technology, right shoring, then talent transformations. And students, they keep often asking, what does a real global tax career look like? How do firms build, trust with international clients? What skills, actually matter beyond degrees and certification? So today's conversation is designed to answer exactly, those questions. So let me get started. Yes, keep commenting. Yeah. So let me first introduce, our first titan for the day, uh, Ramya Bala. Let me bring Ramya ma'am onto the
Good
stage.
evening, everyone.
Very good evening, ma'am. Thank you very much for joining us. So, people,
Thank you for having me.
that's Miss Ramya Bala. So Ramya Bala is a partner and a tax leader at EisnerAmper, with over 11 years at EisnerAmper and 7 years at EY before that. She brings deep experience in financial services, taxation, global client delivery, and leadership in complex tax environments. Ramya has also built and led teams across geographies, handled high impact client portfolios, and is also known for her work in tax technology and global right shoring initiatives. So, above all, she represents what it means to combine technical excellence, people leadership, and long term vision in the tax profession. So, Ramya ji, a very warm welcome to 40, the Tax
Thank
Titans.
you. Thank you. Thank you, Nandya.
Yeah. Let me also have the privilege of introducing, our second guest for the day.
Hello, Nanda. Good evening.
Very good evening, sir. So, joining Ramya today is another distinguished leader. So, Mr. Karthik is the managing director at EisnerAmper India and a chartered accountant with over a decade of leadership experience with the EisnerAmper ecosystem. He has played a key role in building and scaling global delivery teams, strengthening India's position as a trusted partner for international clients and developing future leads within the firm. Karthik brings a rare blend of firm building mindset, operational leadership, and people development. Karthik, sir, it's an honor to have you with us on 40.
My pleasure to be here. And good evening, and wish you a happy new year to everyone.
Yes, sir. Happy New Year to both of you. And thank you both once again, for taking time out of your busy schedules. So this will be a very relaxed conversational discussion, and we are grateful to learn from both your journeys. Thank you very much for joining us today. So, to begin with, could each one of you briefly share your professional journey and what drew you into the accounting and taxation? So, as they are all
Karthik, would you like to
ladies
open?
first.
Ramya, do you want to go first? Sure, I can get started. With that. Thanks, Nanda. I think I want to give a little bit of go back in time and give you a little perspective of how I got into the accounting industry as a whole. I did my majority of my schooling in Chennai,
Mhm.
and I was doing my schooling around the eighth grade. Typically, as all of you probably would know, the decision is looming in front of us as to what stream are we going to take when we pass out our 10th. And I was in the same spot where contemplating whether I should get into the commerce or should I get into the science uh, aspect of it. I always wanted a challenge, to be very honest, even at that young age. And luckily, I should say, I had a family, relative, a cousin of mine, who was pursuing her CA, and I had asked this question to her. And looking back, it's not probably the most profound question, but it did help me. I asked her the question, "Hey, which is tougher? Is doing a CA is tougher, or maybe getting into IIT is tougher?"
Mhm.
And she had answered in a beautiful way, I should say. She said, getting into CA is pretty easy. You need a certain amount of marks, but enroll for CA is not that tough. But passing out, including the exam, is pretty tough. And on the IIT side, she said getting into the and cracking the entrance exam is a pretty steep task. But probably if you get in, you're probably able to make that go through the 3 years and then pass out. So I felt that getting into passing out an exam at the final stage was tougher. So that was the most scientific way of how I decided to become a CA and getting into the accounting profession. But that is the honest truth, to be very honest. and sharing with everyone here. And that's how I pursued my CA, and that's how I got into the accounting profession. Of course, during that time, when I passed out my CA after my articleship, and I should be very grateful for my articleship period because it gave me real insights into what I really wanted to pursue. I did a lot of audit work, but I
Right.
also did a lot of concurrent audits, as we call it, for Indian mutual funds.
Hmm.
And I think that's where I would say I found my calling. And I started my career. I said, I know when I pass out, I'm going to build my career on that. And that's how my journey started with a fund services organization back 20 years back, almost 21 years back now. And right through those 21 years, I've had the good opportunity of working with really global fund services and challenging fund managers, kind of the best of the best. And that has helped me propel my growth. And I've learned a lot from them, and I learned a lot from the organizations I've been part of. And that's how my journey started off in the accounting space and the fund accounting space. And of course, with EisnerAmper, I've been here a little more than 12 years now, starting off the practice for fund admin, and now, of course, leading the EisnerAmper India practice. So that's a little bit in terms of my professional journey and what stimulated that. So, Ramya,
That's
over to you.
that's really amazing, sir. And I also saw
Um,
today winning, some leadership award on the LinkedIn.
Well, that's very kind of to acknowledge some of the work that our team members have done. It's a representation of everything that our organization, our team members do. Probably just I'm the one who's receiving it, but it's built on everything that our team does.
Yeah, congratulations to you for that, sir. Yeah, Ramya ma'am,
Thank you very much.
over to you.
um, the reason why I preferred that Karthik responds to this question first, because he definitely has a story to tell. And how I got into accounting and taxation is purely by chance, by luck. I'm born and raised in India. I spent a good first half of my career building my profile, colleges, my first job in India. When I came to United States, it was an opportunity for me to reset or reboot myself.
Hmm.
And the question I had to ask myself, am I happy in what am I doing, or would I like to do something differently?
Hmm.
And later during the conversation, we'll talk about a mindset that I had picked up during this initial transition in my own life. And of course, I was probably on the wrong side of 20s when I had gotten married and come to New York. And as much as I would love to go into the profession of law or medical, it was too late to start my career in that.
Hmm.
And the easiest career at that point in time was to pick accounting. And I went and joined an accounting college to just get a feel for it. I absolutely fell in love with numbers. I absolutely fell in love with the debits and all the T accounts. And I felt I could do this.
Hmm.
And then when I went to the job market, I had a choice to become an audit professional or a tax professional, which is a very common thing.
Hmm.
And the deciding factor was that the view from the firm that gave me the tax choice was better than the firm that gave me the audit choice. So, no informed decision making, just the pure love of accounting and understanding that wherever I'm planted, I'm going to take that profession and take it to the next level. So, because the view from the ENY building
Hmm.
in Times Square was much um, in Times Square, I decided to choose taxi as my profession.
Hmm.
So no exciting story there, but I think the destiny just placing me at the right place at the right time to pick a right career
Hmm.
and just to thrive there and do my best.
That's really nice. So looking back, what were the earlier career decisions that shaped where you are today, ma'am?
I would say um, one of the biggest thing that my father taught me was, and you will hear me talk about it a lot. Teenage kids, and I talk to them a lot about it. Um, the biggest thing you can do to yourself is put your heart into the career or the path you're choosing and go in it wholeheartedly. I think sometimes we tend to narrow ourselves in the profession or the career we are choosing, and we hold ourselves too strong or too attached to it. The biggest piece of advice I received in the moment of turmoil when I picked up accounting as my career, in the second half of my career journey, is, am I making the right decision?
Mm,
I'm 29. Is this the age I should be reinventing my career? I Should I really be starting something from scratch?
mm,
I am going to go into the market to compete with the 19-year-olds and 21 years old who are coming in with a lot more clarity in what they want to do with their career, who have had a much more thought that they have put into what they want to build in. So, am I making a mistake at so late in my career journey to start something new? Especially, growing up in the India mindset, we are so ingrained to think about, you're in 10th grade, you're in 10th class, what are you going to be? Are you going to be a doctor? Are you going to be an engineer?
mm,
And then we are in 12th class, and again we are questioning ourselves, are you going to be a doctor or engineer? And then we become a doctor or an engineer. So culturally, we don't encourage a lot of points where you can think and do something differently. So, coming from that mindset, it was a scary move, it was a scary decision. Am I making the right choice in changing my career entirely? So late in the game, so that was definitely a scary moment. But I'm glad, it's a good story I can reflect upon and say it was a good decision I made.
Karthik sir, were there any turning points or moments of doubts that changed your direction?
I don't know if I can say another. There was doubts in what I wanted, but I think I can definitely say there was a point on time which I think was looking back. Maybe at that point in time, I don't think I realized it, but looking back in time, I think it helped me be who the person that I am. And this was actually in my articleship period. I was pursuing my articleship along with my college. I was enjoying my college.
Mm,
So as you can imagine, the first year of college, along with the CA foundation that was happening, I was able to spend time in the college, do all the activities that I got to do. And in the second year, when the articleship started, you got to go to the client's office, and you still have the college.
mm,
And I was trying to juggle, all of that, and then you have your, coaching classes and stuff like that, right? So the three things in a day that you are trying to juggle, and I was trying to do the best. I didn't want to let go of anything, to be very honest. So I was doing the colleges in the morning, rushing over to the office, reaching office by 11, then leaving office at 5 because I had classes at 6. So this happened for a couple of months, and the audit team that I was part of, they tried to tell me, hey, you need to be here a little bit more. And I was just not. It was just that feedback was just not. It was resonating with me. And 2 months into my articleship period, our partner came into for kind of, they do their rounds of client visits. So he had come to our client, and our team was about 7 to 8 people, and we were all huddled up in a room. And he went around and asked, hey, how's everyone doing, and all of that. And he came to me. I was the junior most. I was the youngest kid on the block as part of that team. And he said, how are you doing? And I said, I'm doing great. And he said, yeah, I'm sure you're doing great because you're hardly working. And he relayed into me. He gave me a real dose
mm,
for about 5 to 10 minutes. And at the end of that, he gave me an ultimatum.
mm,
He said, this is not where you can build your career if this is how you're going to conduct yourself. I'm going to give you two options. I'm going to give you a week where either you change your habits and you start coming into the office and start pulling your weight,
mm,
or you look for another firm that you can probably look, because we cannot this is not the firm, this is not the place for you. It was a big it was a big shock to the ego and to the system. So at first, you react with your ego, with your pride, and say, hey, what is this? And I'll find another firm. I know this is not how I should be treated, and stuff like that. But luckily, I had some good people around me
mm,
who said, he was given you a week's time. I was ready to resign the same day or the next day. But I had some good people around me who said, you have a week's time, so why don't you take that time and reflect, and then you can decide if your decision is the same, continue with it. And I think after a couple of days, the intent of the feedback started seeping in. You started reflecting on why he's saying or why that feedback was provided. And I think once that happened, I said, you know what, I'm going to change my ways. I think there is some merit to that feedback,
mm,
and I should look past probably some of the harsh words or in the way it was said to me. but I should look at what the intent of the feedback is. And I think I did that, and that's why I said I was very lucky to have some people around me who guided me and asked me to be patient.
Hmm.
And I said I'm going to stick it out, and that's what I did. I changed my habits, and I should say to the credit of the partner, in the third year, the same partner, without any recommendation from any of my managers in my third year of articleship,
Hmm.
nominated me for the best article clerk in our firm, and we had more than 150 of them. So it was a pretty prestigious moment for me to receive that award. And I think it gave me a lesson which I didn't realize at that time. You're too young, and to realize that. But I think later in my life and my professional career, I realized that there was no bias in that feedback. It was just pure feedback for me. And when I did well, and when in those 3 years, the same person who had pretty harsh feedback for me was the same person who nominated me for an award. So he was doing exactly based on out of my action. So, but I think the lessons that I learned from that, which I always carry forward, is sometimes take the feedback with the intent, even if it may not be it may not be presented to you in the absolute best way that you would want to receive it. Look beyond sometimes the words and look at the intent of that feedback. And if that makes sense and if that resonates with you, then take it to heart and see what you can do with it. So that is one of the points that I always go back to. Even now, I think when we get feedback, sometimes just look beyond what sometimes the outer aspects of it, but look at what the core of it is.
How old were you, sir, when you got that feedback? How old were you and how experienced were you?
I was about, I want to say this was my second year of articleship, so I was about 19 or 20 years old.
Hmm. Do you think
So
today
that was
people
when I got the feedback.
receive any critical feedback from their leaders or managers the same way that 19-20 years Karthik received, or
Maybe I should answer that question for
I would
Karthik.
not give the
yeah?
feedback the same way. That is not the right way to give the feedback. I think there's better ways to give that feedback. But I think it is a good lesson too for me to learn.
Yeah, yeah, ma'am. You wanted to add something.
I said, if Karthik is given the same feedback today, how would he respond to that? I was joking to say maybe I should give that feedback.
Because I see people
Feedback is always
like,
welcome.
yes, sir. Go ahead. Go
I was saying feedback is always welcome. So
ahead. Because I see people changing companies in 1 year or 2 years just because manager asks them something about leave or reports and things like that. So what's your suggestion to people like that? I mean, especially experienced people, when you ask them reporting or even as trivial as a login or attendance thing also. How do you uh,
I, I would say that when we onboard seasoned employees, it's very important to build a good rapport with them.
Mhm.
In this day and age, we do see there is a lot more sensitivity it on the combination of what is deemed as micromanagement as well as what is seen as accountability.
Mm,
And it's a fine line. Um, we don't want to get into the space of micromanagement because everyone is an adult,
mm,
and everyone is expected to perform their roles the best they can. But at the same time, it's very important to instill the notion of accountability.
mm,
It is, you're an adult. Again, it's the same sentence that can go both ways. You are an adult. It is your responsibility to be accountable for your job function. And I think, I personally feel, um, there should be little less sensitivity on when you are giving feedback. Of course, how feedback is given and received is also very critical. In the younger days, you would have come across managers who had absolutely no filter in how they were giving feedback. The choice of words may not have been appropriate. The choice of words sometimes are rude and condescending. What is important to know is that when you're giving a feedback, the intent is not to insult, the intent is not to put down another human being.
mm,
When you're giving a feedback, you want them to reflect on how they can do better. And I think when you operate from that space, that, hey, I have this employee who is struggling with this, and we don't know the amount of struggle that they go in their personal life.
mm,
So Hey, I noticed that you have been coming in late every day. Is everything okay at home? That simple question, instead of asking, why are you coming late every day, will
Mhm.
open up an employee to tell you, oh, my wife is not feeling well, so I have to go drop off the kid to school in the morning, and that has been delaying my schedule on why I'm coming to work. But I want you to know that my work is not impacted. I am taking care of it. So when you open with empathy, where you're giving somebody a benefit of doubt, you always go much farther in building that relationship than questioning someone, oh, why are you coming late? So I think it's very important that as a leader, we operate from a place of empathy, from a place of understanding, and we operate with the premise that everybody wants to do their job and everybody is doing the right things, and circumstances may not always be the best choice.
Absolutely. You have both worked in global professional services environments. Like, what differentiates global tax careers from the domestic?
Ramya,
Any?
you want to take that first?
Sure. I think it would depend on how you want to shape your career. There's so many different ways you can answer this question, but I think the first thing that comes to my mind, if I had to really differentiate between a purely domestic career in India versus taking a global career, and regardless of whether it is accounting, finance, audit, the first thing that comes to mind is definitely exposure.
Mhm.
When you're operating in a purely domestic organization, your exposure is a lot to the domestic laws, the domestic rules and regulations, the domestic environment. But when you're operating in a global setting, it opens you up to look at the world at a larger platform. Now you're not thinking about just a local problem that impacts a bigger finance ecosystem, but you're looking at the world as a whole. What's happening in the European market, what is happening in the Americas market, what's happening in Asia. So it opens up you to think about the ripple effect that every decision making happens, whether it's a political decision happening in United States or whether it is a union decision taking place in Europe, and how it disturbs and impacts the whole ecosystem. So from my perspective, I would think it is the exposure that you get to diverse portfolios, diverse investments, and just diverse political arena, and how that impacts how you do your work compared to when you're purely working for a domestic organization.
Nice. Anything you want to add to it?
Yeah, I think to what Ramya said, I think the one thing that I would say differentiates is also, I think, understanding the dynamics and the ecosystem that you're operating in, right? So nuances, especially when it comes to communication and language, I think there's a difference in
Mhm.
certain, domestic Indian environment. We use certain words, right, and the usage of those certain words has certain meanings to it, or how we interpret it. But when you're talking about an international scale and you're looking at global, whether it's in the US side or the UK or anywhere in the world, right? How they would perceive the same choice of words or usage of words and how they would interpret that is different. And I think even just from a communication perspective, for example, many of us in certain parts of India have a speech where we because our tongue is spoken very fast, we would tend to have a little faster mode of delivery when it comes to speech. But when you are interacting in a global environment, you got to be mindful of that, of how you're coming across. So I think it's being more self-aware. I think in terms of how you're going to come across. At the end of the day, what is communication, right? Communication is only complete when the person on the other side is able to understand effectively and interpret that. So to make that happen, I think one of the things that I have seen in terms of when you're working across both from India or domestic and international aspects is how effectively are you able to communicate, and having that understanding of where the who the other person is on the other side, what is their ecosystem, what is their language, how is their preferences, and being able to kind of I won't say like coming to a good meeting point where they can understand where you are coming from and are able to have an effective conversation and at the end of the day a fruitful conversation.
True, true. You both have been in the leadership roles for over a decade now. So, how has leadership evolved for each one of you as your responsibilities grew from executive to a
I
leadership?
think I think maybe I can go first, and then Ramya can, share more insights.
True, true.
I think the way I would look at it for myself is from a leadership perspective is, I think it's been a journey of self-awareness and self-discovery. I think when you are more on the executive side, or when you're in an execution side, you're more concerned about yourself or probably your team. But I think now you look at it, and when you become a leader, I think is saying what are your actions, how are you coming across, what are you portraying, and I think understanding and being more self-aware of what signals or body language that you're having, how are you communicating. I think that becomes a little more pertinent, and I think you become a little bit more self-aware, and that's been my my, I would say, my evolution in terms of how I have grown as a leader. I think it also comes to when you become a leader. I think it's more about how you are looking to help and serve others. Yes, you have certain responsibilities and that you want to carry out, but it's also a massive opportunity for you to be able to be a catalyst and help others navigate through, either in their own professional life or for the organization, for the team. But how you are going to be that catalyst, and how you are going to be able to help, very bluntly speaking, how you're going to be able to serve others in growing their careers, in growing their aspirations, and helping everyone evolve along with you. I think that's been, I think, the journey that I would say, from how my journey has been and what I have gained the most and how I have evolved, is just not looking at myself and just the immediate folks around me, but having a much broader view. So that would be my take.
Ramyaji, this question is for you. Like, what are the biggest challenges in managing large teams, across geographies? I mean, managing within India or within US itself, it becomes tough. But between geographies and between time zones, so can you give us some tips?
I think from where and how it started to where we are today, my journey with EisnerAmper India team is, and I've been bragging about this on every meeting I go to, is exactly 10 years old this week.
Oh,
My first trip to India was on January 6th,
mhm.
2016. And of course, Facebook reminded me because I must have posted a picture on Facebook that I'm in India, and I was very excited because I was returning to India after almost 16 years. So it was a very interesting day for me. So I've been talking about that a lot. Um, my leadership role and how I had operated India in last 10 years has definitely changed. I remember my early years as a young, evolving leader myself. I had spent a lot of early mornings connecting with my India team. I would wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning here. I would have my cup of coffee and I would start my day. And I would spend a lot of time between 4 to 6 a.m. connecting with my India team, talking to them every day, trying to understand what issues they have been going through, how I can support them. And then I would get ready, take care of my kids, and drop them to school. And then I would start my day job, which was primarily client serving, and I would wear that hat. Two things that I believed that has allowed me to be an effective leader. One is to have absolutely open communication across my team members. My India leadership has direct access to me, extremely transparent, and it's a very, very open platform where you can come, you can talk, you can agree, you can disagree. But when you leave the room, you represent one unit. We brag about our team as one tax team. So a platform where everyone can come in and express themselves and have a space to share their values. And there's a lot of back and forth in a healthy way to agree and disagree. I believe is has really helped me lead in a most authentic way. Um, I do lead keeping a lot of pride and ego aside, because one of the pitfalls that a lot of leaders tend to have is the ego creeps in as you go higher and higher in the leadership rank. And it's always the battle between how much we know versus how much we should know. And that's a constant battle. So I think it helps me keep grounded. My team will constantly give me a pulse check on what's going on in the team, what is in my head on what I think is happening in India, and somebody will give me a reality check, and I said, "No, Ramya, the market in India is different. This is what is happening." So having that open mind and open way to communicate my team has been the biggest game changer for me from how I started versus how I evolved in my leadership role. So I definitely think that has been something that I have seen myself evolve as I grew. And just empowering my local team. I am here to guide them. I am here to tell them what works well. But it's absolutely my local team that thrives and does exceptionally well on everyday basis.
Yes. Karthik sir, like how important is technology today in terms of tax and accounting compared to when you started your career? I mean, how has the AI and other things evolved over the years?
Yeah, I would say, technology has always existed. I think what technology is today obviously is very different than what it was when we started our careers almost 20 years back, 2 decades back, right? But technology existed in a different form or fashion back even then. I think it is very relevant, even it was relevant back then. But what was technology defined now when you talk about AI today? Today, technology is mostly about AI and LLMs and things of that nature. Back then, in 20 years back, technology was probably, Excel and a few other applications built around it. That is the definition of technology. I think the one thing that I would want to say to people, I think when you look at technology is an enabler, right? And you always have to keep abreast of what's going to enable you. The way I would always look at technology, and this is someone who had shared it with me, and I think I always look at it is that AI especially, and then there's a lot of talk around it. Is AI going to replace accountants, and what is going to happen, and all of those, some questions related to that. I think AI is a good reminder, or technology is a good reminder that it is always good to fall in love with the problem, not to fall in love with the solutions, because solutions might keep changing. The problems might still be the same. Whether it is, for example, to do a NAV, to calculate a NAV, or it is to prepare a tax return. The tools that we are using today are very different than the tools that we probably used, or the applications that we used back 20 years back, or a few years back. But at the same time, you're still solving the same problem, right? Or solving the, or in terms of deliverables, or in terms of things that you're looking to execute, are pretty much the same. So it's very important. I think you look at a technology as something which is an enabler, something that you have in your kitty, in your career, in terms of what you can bring, and you have to keep abreast of what's happening in the market and what are the latest technologies, and adopting those and not fearing those. I think it's just an opportunity to get excited about it and say, here is something new that I can learn, and that's going to help me. It's going to help me execute what I'm doing. Probably hire, save some time, get some efficiency, better controls, better quality. But at the end of the day, it is going to help me. And so, how can I help myself? And I think that's how it would be the approach to technology. And that's would be my take of how everyone should be looking at technology and adopting it.
So, have you started to leverage AI and the tools in your company or industry, sir?
Absolutely, we have been doing that, and I think I would actually, it'll be good for for everyone here to hear from Ramya on this, because she heads technology for our tax practice globally, so she can definitely share some insights. So, Ramya, maybe it'll be good for everyone to hear from you on this.
Probably if you can list
Sure.
some AI tools, it'll benefit the viewers.
The the tricky part with the AI tools or listing the AI tools, especially in the tax profession, is that there are too many to list to.
Yeah.
And I would be honest to admit that I'm not really relying on a lot of AI tools to use. But what we are extremely focused on, of course, everybody's using ChatGPT, everybody's using Gemini. That's just given in the market. And then, of course, if you go to your Apple store, there are plenty of AI tools to take your regular picture and convert them into a professional picture. But that's the outside scope of this conversation. What we are very focused is looking at various LLMs, and we're looking at various internal process we have, and we are looking to see how we can leverage AI as a tool to build something that brings in more efficiency in how we do our jobs. One of the both the problem and the advantage with AI is it is very easy to build a proof of concept for something that magically works very well, and you can build that in less than 20% of time it takes actually to build something that is at more enterprise level. What's important to know is to take this proof of concept that you have built and actually make it scalable make something scalable. You don't need to only have the AI tools, you also need to have your foundation very strong. If you want to analyze a lot of different documents, if you want to analyze a lot of different information that is coming to you from your investors, your fund admin, you're getting a lot of realized report, unrealized report, you want to process them all. Where do you store them? How do you store them? And then you build AI tools to read them at multiple places. So AI definitely makes it look like it is very easy, and you can build and throw in a lot of tools that can bring efficiency, which is true, don't get me wrong. But to actually make it scalable and to actually make it workable at an enterprise level requires a lot more commitment, lot more time, and definitely a lot of good and efficient data hygiene before you can actually go and build something.
Karthik sir, like what skills do you feel are absolutely non-negotiable in 2026 and beyond, for our students or people who are watching this particular show? As a MD,
I think there's some skills that are always evergreen. I think those are some of the non-negotiable skills that have existed before. We just talked about technology, right? So being technology savvy, being aware of the technology, I think that's one of the attributes that everyone needs to have. But at the same time, I would say I think the basics are always going to be the foundational attributes are always going to be very important. I think it's very important to be curious. I think curiosity is one of the skills that I won't say it's a skill, but it's an attribute that I would want everyone to have. Because when you're naturally curious, you would want to investigate. You want to know a little bit more, and I think when you're able to do that, you learn a lot. When you're spending that time looking at something, hey, how does this work, or why is this not making sense? It's simple things, but if you have those attributes, I think that would definitely help. I think I would say first and foremost. I think one other aspect we touched upon is I think communication skills, right? I think it's no matter if you have a wealth of knowledge, but if you do not have a proper communication to be able to impart or at least to share that with anyone else, it's going to be very difficult to share that information, share that knowledge, or to learn at the same time as well. So I think in terms of skills, I think non-negotiable. I think definitely be curious, good communication skills, and I think end of the day, all businesses I would say are people business, right? No matter whether you have AI technology, anything that comes into play. So I think I would say at the base of it, human interaction, human skills, and people skills are always going to be evergreen, and you always need to have that. And Ramya had touched upon it. Being empathetic. I think those are some of the aspects that you can never let go because that's our foundational, and that's what I would say. Our perspective when we look at it is what attitude do you carry and what aptitude do you have to learn. If you have these two attributes, no matter which organization, which stream you're in, you'll always do well.
very good. Ramya ma'am, to you, like how should students, with whether a CA, CPA, EA, all these licenses or certifications, balance their education, with practical exposure?
Look, in any profession that deals with people, where people put trust in your decision making process, it is important to have some credibility, right? No different than why somebody should go through a long certification course to become a doctor or a lawyer. Same thing holds true for an accountant, right? Somebody is relying on you to look at the numbers and give them most informed decision. So credibility is important. However, the certification is also a trap. Just because you have a lot of certification does not make you more qualified. So
Absolutely.
that balance is important. I would always encourage people to have a solid bachelor's degree, solid master's degree. If you are taking a bachelor's degree, pursue and combine that with some of the accounting specific certification courses like either chartered accountant, being a CPA, or being an enrolled agent. Credibility is absolutely important. That is the foundation of any profession where we are serving others besides ourselves. Second is important to have a good practical exposure, because the book knowledge can only take you so far. It is important for you to be out there on the ground learning. And I want to tie both the professional certification and practical experience to a very important concept: your mindset. What is your mindset and how you approach things? And I'll start off with a small example. Again, I've already said that I started this accounting career when I was on the wrong side of the 20s. And my first job, or my first profession, my first client, sorry, was a very powerful client.
Mhm.
And my client wanted that the documents that are processed by a professional. They did not wanted the admin staff or anyone who does not understand the gravity of the sensitive information that is there to handle that information. So, believe it or not, the first 6 months of my career, I had massive amount of paper piles in front of me, and I was stapling the tax return and putting the sticky tabs of where to sign.
Hmm.
So it definitely does not align with anything that I have professionally learned or have my degree on. But it's a job, and the mindset is that I am serving my client wherever it requires. Fast forward, many moons in my career, I still enjoy going to my processing team, and on the day they are the busiest, I help them out. And I have built a rapport that my work always gets done first because I'm always there to help them. So, mindset is important to, especially in your first early years of your career, that you're backed with a strong, credible professional certification, and you are starting off your job or your career, and you're hungry to learn whatever comes your way. And you always have a mindset that you wake up, you go to work, and you say, what am I going to learn today? And what am I going to solve for today? So, one is self growth, where you're saying, what am I going to learn today? And two is a professional contribution back to your organization, where you're saying, what can I solve for today that is going to help somebody else? So, I think that is a good mixture of how you want to grow up in your career, combined with a good certification and a practical exposure.
That's nice. Karthik sir, today
Yeah.
students feel so overwhelmed, with so many certifications or licenses that's available, just like the way Ramya ma'am
Yeah.
said. How should they think about choosing a career path, especially in the tax, accounting, or payroll area? Because if at the finance side of it, and also as a finance professional, how do you guide today, to somebody to pick a career in these areas?
It's not easy. There are a lot of options available, and each of those options are have a great career ahead of them if you pursue take up any of those. But at the end of the day, I think you have to look at it for yourself and say, what is it that is going to excite me? Where do I want to be? What is a professional career that I want to build? And sometimes the answer is not easy. Sometimes you may have the answer of, this is how I would like to my career to pan out. Rarely, what things that we plan turn out exactly the way it is. But having a good understanding, or at least a basic understanding of where you want your career to be, and also understand that if you're pursuing one at this point in time, and especially early in your career or early in your, I would say at the end of your student life, doesn't exclude from taking up other certifications where if at a later point in time. But at the end of the day, you have to look at where you would like to be and what you would like to be, and in a general idea of how you're looking to build your career. If you're looking to build your career in on the US, for example, US taxation side, or the US accounting or auditing side, then a CPA is something which makes a lot of sense to be able to take that, or an EAS makes a lot of sense. If you're looking to do more on the portfolio side of it, maybe a broader financial degree like a CFA might be a relevant course that is there. But having I would say at least a skeleton in terms of how you want to build your career, and of course, as we talk about your career, it meanders along in terms of and curves, and it moves in different directions, right? So as that evolves, you will find certifications, or you will find things which are relevant, and you will take up those courses. But I think at the point in time, I think it's very the advice that I give it usually to people is that have a basic understanding, or approach it from saying, hey, this is what I want to be, and then take up certifications which are going to be in line with that. And in the worst thing that could happen is that something that is not when you take up the certification is something that's not helping you building your career. There's always an opportunity right now, I think, with the advent of technology, and I think the growth that we have seen in India especially, all global certifications are available in India. easily accessible. So you can always pivot and be able to do that. For example, we just heard from Ramya, and she talked about from starting out in technology and being able to pivot into accounting and taxation. So it's not end of the world if if the thing that you picked up did not exactly pan out the way you would like it to be, because there is a lot of time for each and every one for us to be able to pivot and do what we like to do. But at the end of the day, I would say pick your passion. I think is very important. What you're passionate about, because if you would build a career of whatever number of years, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, whatever that you're looking to pick up, you won't be able to sustain that unless you're truly passionate about what you're doing, right? And that is very important. And passions evolve as well. So understand that whatever certification you're doing now is not the one that's going to hold you for all those 40 years. You will evolve, you will take up other things. So it's not end of the world. So
Absolutely.
give it, give it I think in terms of just taking it up as what it is, and you will do well.
Absolutely. So, Ramya ma'am, India currently is emerging as a global talent hub. So, what should teachers like me or institutions like us do to help students stay relevant uh, in this high speed technology accelerated era? Any feedback for teachers and institutions like us so that we can make people job ready and industry ready or client ready?
Uh, Definitely partner with a lot of organizations that can give you practical exposure. The India ecosystem, if I want to pick chartered accountant, and the chartered accountants, the internship program, um, it's solid. It gives them not only theoretical but also practical exposure. As the global ecosystem builds, where you have now dealing with European audit and tax laws, United States or America's audit and tax laws, it's important that we also partner with institutions that can give them practical exposure. They work as interns there so that they can understand what that ecosystem looks like. Um, Even though these are soft skills, the three things that I absolutely think that every organization and institution should instill in their students, it's going to sound so basic, but the first one is read, read, read. The ability to pick up a newspaper, the ability to pick up any book and just read. You're not reading to pass an exam. You are not reading to look for some accomplishment. You are reading just to learn. Somewhere along the process of too much access to phone, a victim of it myself, we tend to reach for the device and scroll. Our ability to process large volume of information continues to go down because we see all these bite-sized reels. Even the reels are not long enough.
Yeah.
People don't even enjoy watching movie for a long time because we're losing our ability to stay focused for a long time. So it's very important that we instill, I don't know if it's the job of college to do that, but I believe somebody has to do, where we are encouraging our students to just sit still, quietly read. And once you have read, spend some time comprehending that information. It's very, very, very important. Nobody will teach you that. You have read 10 pages on a tax law.
Mm.
Are you able to summarize that into one page? Are you able to break it down into a piece that somebody else can understand? Second, work on your communication skills.
Yeah.
How do you express yourself? What you say versus what people hear, are they aligned? And third, which is we all cannot escape, is understanding how you can use AI to benefit you. AI has definitely closed the gap
Mm.
between a smart person and a person who's not very smart, a person who's not very technical, but who knows how to ask good questions. So, are you a smart person that can give an answer when somebody asks you a good question? Or are you a smart person who can ask a good question? And that is going to be a differentiator. So AI is available to everyone. AI is not something that anybody has 20 years or 30 years of experience in. Everybody in the market has more or less similar experience, at least the group that we all are competing with. So invest in learning AI, The future is not going to be replaced by AI. A lot of people get confused.
Yeah.
AI is not going to come and replace the future. The future is going to be replaced by people who know how to use AI effectively. So, as we have our students graduating classes, we need to instill that they are going out in the market job ready. They are learning how to read well, they are communicating well, and they are using the tools of AI to their advantage.
Okay. How do you people see the future of right shoring and global capability centers in tax and accounting industry?
I will let Karthik answer this because I know it's his favorite question to ask. But a simple response would be bright. It's very, very bright. The global talent hub in India is beyond thriving. There is no other way to say it. It is such an exciting time for India to be part of this global talent ecosystem. We are not just doing a piece of work, we are adding value to the ecosystem, the global ecosystem. We are no longer just doing a small process sitting in India, but we are giving them advice. We are managing that stream. And without going too much into it, Karthik, I'm going to give you this question because I know how passionate you are about talking about the global presence in India.
No, thanks, man. I think what you said absolutely makes sense. I think the way, yes, it's very bright. I think we have great opportunity. I think the few things that I would say is, traditionally when a lot of organizations have come to to India, obviously, the cost arbitrage has always been a very attractive reason for them to be able to do it. But I think one of the things that as we evolve and as AI comes into picture, a lot of the activities that have been performed are more repetitive of nature. All of those will probably AI or some kind of automation would come in and be able to do those tasks. So what does that mean for us as global capability centers is the opportunity to kind of evolve and grow up the value chain. How can we add value to our clients? Because now we have more time, uh, and some AI has helped us, automation has helped us do certain tasks. It frees up time for us to now say, how can we become advisors to our clients? I think that's how we see the value chain growing, and how we are going to grow in that value chain proposition, I think, is going to be the biggest driver of it. And I think one aspect also, I think I would say is it gives us an opportunity, is it gives organizations like us and of course similar organizations to us the opportunity to be able to service our client for a larger window. Typically if you're going to be just be in one location, you have an 8 maximum 10-hour window to service your client. But now being in locations like India, it gives us the opportunity to be able to service our clients almost 24 by 7, or whatever number that we want to look at, but it gives a greater larger window to be able to service our clients. And end of the day, I think the opportunity for us, and we should always strive for, is two things that I always say in our ecosystem is how can we do absolutely end to end. And when you say end to end, is basically to say that everything that happens in the business, we have an understanding of it, we are involved in it. I think that's the opportunity, and that's how we want to build kind of the breadth of your knowledge and the services that you can provide. And end of the day, I think also when you're talking, coming back to communication, is also being client facing. I think it's now gives us the opportunity for us not to just be a back office, but to be at the front end of it and leading things right from the front. So I think that's how it's going to evolve, and it's a great opportunity for us. A lot of the organizations, including us, are already doing that, but it gives us an opportunity for us to even build on that and strengthen it even further.
Great, great. Leadership roles, they come with a lot of pressure. So, how do you people balance your work, family, fitness, and your faith also? How do you take time for all of this?
I will start by saying that balance is overrated. There is no such thing as balance.
Mm,
We all should there's no such thing as balance. What I will say is, um, we are constantly shifting our energies and our priorities. Who needs to prioritize what?
mm,
It's very important to know that you're able to look at your day, look at your week, and look at your month and say where my love is most needed. There would be time where I would like to call it, we go through busy season, which is usually the month of March, or March and April. My friends, my family, my extended family members, we all know that we are not celebrating anything in March and April. There is no wedding that is happening in those months. There's nothing happening in those months. So we all support each other in a very good way because that's a profession we chose.
Mm.
It would be naive to get into a profession and then say, "Oh, I don't want to work in the month of March because, the weather is nice." So to have that clarity is important. That busy season is busy season. You are committed, and that is a defined one. Um, and on the contra side to it is in US here in New York, September is when the schools open.
Mm.
So, and we're usually wrapping up the end of the busy season by August, and September. So, September and October, which is a slower month for me, and my school would have just started with my kids, I will actively participate in everything that happens at school. I am the best parent my teachers can find. I am bringing in cookies and pastries. I am having a lot of sessions with the teachers in the school. I'm taking the kids out. So it's important that you know what profession you are in and what you want. And of course, there is a room in every profession for every kind of role. You can definitely build a profession and a career around your 9 to 5 if that's what speaks to you. And if you are more hungry and you want to build a career, then instead of talking 9 to 5, you talk March, April, and September, October. It's a balance, which when there is no balance, I would say that one of the things that I wish I had started earlier, and I think you'll hear a lot of people of certain age talk about it, is we wish we walked more when we were younger, and we wished we hit the gym a little bit more often,
Yeah.
and we wished we ate a little bit more cleaner food. So that's one thing I definitely feel that maybe we should have done a better job at a little bit younger age of instilling some of those good health practices. But otherwise, I think balance can be whatever you choose to define and whatever fits your needs.
So do you people exercise and eat right now?
Well, it is
We'll
only
try to.
January 8th, Nanda. So far we're doing good. You can ask me this question on February 8th and I will give you an honest answer.
How about
Sorry, Nanda, I didn't quite catch that.
I said how about you?
I think it's similar. I think it's, when you look at it,
Understand.
there's no perfect balance that you can ever strike, right? You are going to look at anything that you just in front of you, like whether it's this week, whether it's this day, and you prepare. I think pressure. I think is I think one aspect that I would want to say differently in terms of when you look at pressure. What is pressure? Pressure is something that you put on yourself most of the times, or predominantly all the times, I would want to say. I think it's more is pressure going to help you? If it's going to help you achieve something, then that's a good thing. It's a good catalyst to have, and a certain amount of pressure is required to perform. So it's not a bad thing per se. But when it's going to overwhelm you, right, is when you got to take a step back and say, hey, why is that pressure coming? And usually it comes in when you feel that you don't have the tools, or you don't have the time. Sometimes it's a combination of a lot of things that you feel that you would not be able to achieve certain things, or a goal, or a task, or whatever it might be. So I think it's always important to take that step back and reflect as to what is it that is going to help me achieve what I need to do. Is taking that stress, taking that pressure going to help me solve that? Then it might help you. But if it is not, it is going to be counterproductive. So what is it? What are you going to achieve? Is the problem going to get solved because you took on more extra pressure or extra stress? Then I think end of the day, you got to, and if I have to say, at least in the field that we are in, we are not doctors saving lives. We are accountants at the end of the day. So I think we got to be able to take that in context and say, okay, I'm going to do my best that I can put in, and sometimes that will be great, but sometimes it will not be good enough, and I will learn from that and see what I could have done better rather than stressing over it. Easier said than done. I understand that it's easy to say it, but the more you practice it, the better you will get it, and the better context you'll have of yourself, and you'll know your strengths, you'll know your weaknesses, where you may get prepared, or where you may have a potential pitfall, and how do you guard yourself against that. So I think it's finding that, and when you do that, you'll find that balance. You'll not even balance. It'll be very natural. At the end of the day, you got to do certain things. You'll plan better. I think those things. I think one aspect of it I would want to say is definitely planning. I think that will help a lot.
Yeah.
When those demands are there, you got to be able to plan ahead, and once you're able to plan ahead, you'll be able to execute better. at the end of the day. And I think that's what that's what we have all learned. Again, this is all something that we have learned along the way. It's not that we had this profound wisdom on day one, right? You make mistakes, and you try to go back and see what could have done differently, and you learn from it.
Hmm. True, true. So, what's your advice to people, who are qualified, who might be experienced also, but they have not elevated themselves into leadership role? Though, with 10 plus years, or people, with your experience also, some have just got stuck, at a middle level or a lower middle level. So, any piece of advice to those kind of people?
I think it's it does happen, and sometimes those circumstances may be a little bit sometimes outside your control. Most of it would be within your control. I think it's yes, there are opportunities always that is going to come your way, and sometimes you got to be at the right time at the right at the right place at the right time, as they say, right? That is important. But I would also say is looking, it's more a reflection of yourself. And if you feel that if you're in a certain organization or in a certain role, and you feel that in spite of putting all your best effort, you're not growing, maybe it's not a bad thing to look to switch lanes and do something different. But even before that, I would say is really look at and say, hey, what is it that is missing? Because any organization, I would say across the board, not just on accounting, are always going to look at people. And when you go into leadership, it is how are you going to transition that? A lot of people, I think, make sometimes have the fallacy that I'm doing really good at my work. I'm technically very proficient in whatever I'm doing, and hence I expect myself to move into a leadership role. Now, that is not a bad assumption to make, but that alone is not going to help you make that transition. The technical core skills is going to be your core skills, no doubt about it, but you got to add different layers to it. And if you're not going to add those layers at the right time, it's going to be very difficult to evolve into leadership skills. After a certain point, I think all of us can probably relate to it who have had those years of experience. It's not how well you can do a tax return or how well you can do an app. Those skills are already established. But what else can you bring to the table? And what is relevant? What are relevant skills that you need to bring to the table? I think that you need to have an honest opinion of yourself and introspecting about it, and then develop those skills. I think is usually if you do that, more often than not, then you're going to find those opportunities. It may be a matter of time. Some may come quicker, some may take a little bit more time. But more often than not, I fundamentally believe that you will get those opportunities. And if there is a rare occurrence that even in spite of all of this, you're not getting those opportunities, maybe it's not a bad thing to, like I said, to switch lanes and look at those opportunities somewhere else. But I think that's where I felt that when we look at individuals and we meet a lot of them, we feel that they have probably not developed some of the other skills that is required for them to be able to make the transition into a leadership role.
Hmm.
So, Nanda, I'm going to take a slightly a different view on what Karthik just said. And I want to give that with an example. Two approaches to this. I want to go in with the assumption that a lot of people who are in the middle management role right now,
Mhm.
or looking to elevate themselves from middle management to a little bit upper management, and the leadership growth is not coming in. That's my assumption.
Hmm.
And my assumption is that you know your job very well, you're doing very well, you are a hardworking person, and I'm going to even go ahead and further assume that you are someone that everybody comes to you when they have a problem. So clearly, you are doing everything right, but that level up is not happening most of the times.